Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, March 25th, a Betcast Tuesday. Here on the show, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down this Tuesday NHL card. It is a big one. We got 10 games on tap for this Tuesday. And, of course, it is a momentous night because it's our latest edition of the Ice Guys live Betcast, Patreon-exclusive live Betcast. It's been a while. Unfortunately, the NCAA tournament, been busy with that. That's why we've had this hiatus. And this period of time without having a live Betcast, but we are back. We're like Frank Costanza. I'm back, baby. Yeah, we're back tonight with the Patreon exclusive Ice Guys live Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Again, with this being Patreon exclusive, the only way to join us on the Betcast live and, of course, to join us on the stream or to tune in is become a Patreon member. Just $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And again, our Betcast tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Looking forward to it. Very solid card. So again, $10 per month to be part of the Betcast. Make sure you get on board. $10 per month at patreon.com/iceguys. Well, for a 4-game card, what a night it was in the NHL last night. You couldn't have asked for more drama, more tension, and in certain aspects, more controversy than what we got, obviously, in the 2 early games with big-time playoff implications, the Blue Jackets and the Islanders, as well as the Canucks and the Devils. Big storylines in the Canucks-Devils game. We'll start there. Elias Pettersson, Niels Höglander sent home to Vancouver due to injuries. And, of course, Vancouver shorthanded, a Canucks team that obviously falling out of the race at least a little bit. They had fallen 5 points behind the St. Louis Blues for the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference. But credit to the Vancouver Canucks, kind of a backs-against-the-wall spot, and they found a way to get it done last night against the New Jersey Devils. They took the early 1-0 lead. New Jersey tied it and then took the lead with back-to-back Timo Meier goals. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, who I think played a very strong game with the increased opportunity due to the injuries, tied it up 2-2. Eric Howell on a rebound makes it 3-2, and you think, wow, New Jersey has finally got Vancouver. Is there another response in the Canucks? And just like they did against St. Louis last Thursday, they got a extra attacker tying goal from Connor Garland with 36 seconds left in that third period to tie it. It certainly made our night, really, because the over cashes with that 3-3 tying goal, the draw cashes with that 3-3 tying goal. And then, of course, it was a great overtime. Thatcher Demko, for his first start in a while, and that's what we were concerned about. How good would he be after being out for such a long period of time? He had a really strong performance in net for this Vancouver Canucks team. Very solid in goal. What a save he made in overtime to even keep the Canucks alive. And then, of course, they ended up getting the shootout winner in that one for the Vancouver Canucks. They won it in the shootout by a score of 4-3. Jacob Markstrom goes postal, snapping the goal stick. He's done that a lot, by the way, when he loses a game. He did that last night. He actually played better, Markstrom. Definitely better than he's played lately, but when you don't see it, result in a win, I understand why the frustration there for Markstrom, but a huge, huge 2 points for Vancouver, and now they're just 3 points back of St. Louis once again. So that game was phenomenal. Vancouver money line, Vancouver team total, the draw, the full game over 5, which was Alex's best bet. And then in the other game, it just worked out perfectly too. Jackets and Islanders, full game over best bet for me with that one. Jackets and Islanders cashes. The Islanders, terrible first period for Columbus. Whatever Dean Evison said after the first intermission when they were down 2-0, it's like, boys, your season's on the line. Wake the fuck up. Something along those lines. Something was said because it was a different Columbus team in the second period. They responded the right way. They tied it up 2-2. The Islanders then got a very late second period goal courtesy of Anders Lee to give them the momentum back 3-2. Columbus didn't, flinch. They came out, had a good third period, eventually got the game tied courtesy of Kirill Marchenko. And then, of course, at the end, the goal that almost counted to win the game for the Islanders at the end of the third period, called goaltender interference. I'll be honest, I thought it was not enough to warrant a goalie interference there. We kind of got away with one. We'll take it. But I was so fucking excited and happy because I knew that meant the draw was hitting. And I was so damn happy. And I know Alex, I'm sure, was too. And we knew we were going to get that game to overtime once that goal was disallowed. But it was a very marginal call, and when you actually look at the replay, it was initiated contact, it looked like, by Merzlikins, quite honestly, in front of net. There was contact, and I've seen just a little bump like that called goalie interference before, but when it's kind of the goalie kind of going into the player and kind of pushing him, that's a tough call, I must admit, that went against the New York Islanders there. And Patrick Waugh saying, who needs Toronto if they can't have the guts to call from their referees. He was not a very happy coach, obviously, understandably. Kyle Palmieri wasn't happy. The whole Islander team felt we kind of got screwed. And it's a tough lose point, because the Blue Jackets, of course, end up winning it in the shootout by a score of 4-3. And from a Jackets standpoint, this was just a huge 2 points for them. Almost like it keeps our playoff hopes alive. And they go from maybe losing in regulation, entering that third period down 3-2, to winning 4-3 in a shootout. And now they suddenly find themselves all of a sudden, again, just 2 points out, 2 points behind Montreal for that second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. So Columbus, just with that win last night, has clearly kept themselves afloat here in the playoff race. Huge win for them. Monahan, you could already tell in just one game what a world of difference he makes for the Jackets. I thought he was pretty solid in his debut. And again, it frees up attention for Fantilli, who, of course, ended up getting Columbus going with the first goal last night in that game. Credit to the Dallas Stars. Still room for improvement, but certainly a lot better than what we saw against Philadelphia with their 3-0 shutout win against Minnesota. Wild couldn't get anything going. I think Jake Ottinger needed a shut-the-door performance because he's been kind of up and down lately. It was a better effort from him in net. Like I said, I still don't like that too many times Dallas is getting hemmed in and the other team's kind of dictating the play. That did happen last night again, but this time, Dallas withstood it better, and they got saves. Ottinger was excellent last night, and they needed a kind of a game like that. So 3-0 Dallas, credit to them. Johnston, Duchesne, and Marchment, the goals there as they get the job done. Minnesota will be in the system play that is suddenly not so strong since the Four Nations break, but they will be in it in their next game tonight here against Vegas. Detroit and Utah. Detroit had the worst penalty kill you'll ever see, allowing that first Utah goal. And then their penalty kill was phenomenal the rest of the game. It was really crazy to see it. Just how good the penalty kill was the rest of the game for Detroit. They shut down Utah's power play. Utah had a bunch of chances. And then Detroit with 14 shots on goal for the game, just 5 shots on goal after the second period. And yet they end up with 5 goals on those 14 shots. They beat Utah 5-1 last night. Kind of a weird game. Couple of weird goals went in for Detroit. One went off a Utah player, and then that Austin Watson goal that really put that game away 3-1. It was a crazy deflection that Karel Vejmelka had no chance on. That being said, Karel Vejmelka, you get concerned all the games he started in a row, not playing nearly as well. You're kind of seeing it. Of course, the big development early in the game in the first 2 minutes was the injury to Peter Mrazek. Shocker. Peter Mrazek's injured again. Never saw that coming. Never thought that could happen again for the millionth time. But he gets injured again, and Alex Lyon has to come in. And he played pretty solid, Alex Lyon. Give him credit once Mrazek got injured and left the game. But Detroit, kind of like Columbus, they kind of needed a win desperately to keep alive any chance of the playoffs. They're only 3 points out again now as well, just with that one win. So Detroit is not totally out of it yet, but like I said, still work to be done. And not going to be easy for them tonight because, as we will talk about in just a bit, they have to face the Colorado Avalanche back-to-back on the road and the second straight night in altitude. Not going to be easy for the Red Wings here tonight. Alex, your thoughts on a very entertaining Monday night, even for just 4 games?
Yeah, very entertaining and very profitable. If I had thrown the Stars and Wild draw in with that correct score parlay I had, I would have had an insanely profitable night. But we cashed 2 out of the 3 draws. we said draw season's in full swing, but the cash, a couple correct scores. I see Goose in the chat hit one at 14-1 with that. I know a lot of people kind of added that to some parlay tickets as well. So a great night hitting the bargain bin as well with Eric Howell in that Devils game, that over 5. Once again, another 5 sailing over the total. So when you see these numbers at 5.5 and 5s, don't be afraid to go over, even though we tend to see a little bit of tighter play as we head into the postseason. So just fantastic to have a night like that after having some rough nights coming out of the break. So I just hope we can have a big night tonight, especially with the backcast on deck.
Yeah, no question. That's 5 straight, very strong winning nights in a row for yours truly. And, considering how, shaky and rough things were going coming out of the Four Nations break, it is certainly terrific to see, us getting things back on track for sure. No question about it. Yeah, the Dallas props were good. I mean, in the, we had Duchesne, Marchment, goal, but they both scored. So that was crazy. Harley got an assist again. The only thing that missed was my bargain bin on Thomas Harley to score a goal. Right. But that's okay. We got most of them. So it was a good night there as far as the props are concerned, no doubt. Maddie, by the way, has got work today, and he's got a concert tonight. So he's out for the shows today, both the Betcast and the Daily Show, but he'll be back Thursday, or it sounds like. So we'll see Matt back with us, most likely at least on Thursday later this week. All right, let's get into Tuesday night. We got a huge slate. We will begin with the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto minus 260, home favorites, 5.5 the total. Man, it doesn't get any easier for this reeling Philadelphia Flyers team, as if it's not bad enough that they lose to Dallas and they get whipped by Chicago, and somehow they give up 7 goals to the Chicago Blackhawks on Sunday afternoon. And now you got to face a Toronto team that's coming off laying a dud in the second and third period Saturday night in Nashville, and probably not going to take this team, well, you would think now coming off a loss like that, not going to take this team lightly. So we'll see how the Flyers can deal with what should be an angry Toronto Maple Leafs team tonight. It's supposed to be a Toronto spot. We always worry still about their ability to beat down and win against the teams that or beat the teams they should. We'll have to see if that's going to end up being the case here against Philadelphia, but certainly the Flyers are in a bad way right now. It's been really amazing to see, because we know John Tortorella. You got to block shots. You got to play some defense, and we're not seeing it, right now as of late from this Philadelphia Flyers team. And he's stuck right now because whether he goes to Ersson or whether he goes to Fedotov in net, it's the same old shit. It's the same old problem that this team is having. They are just not able to keep the puck out of the freaking net. And it has been a big-time problem lately for this Philadelphia Flyers team. They will try to correct it tonight against Toronto, but won't be easy here in this game. We'll see how this one plays out, but certainly from a Leafs perspective, coming off the Nashville game and the fact that they're going on a California road trip after this game, you would think there is no looking ahead. There's certainly shame in the way that game ended for the Leafs Saturday night in Nashville. So you would think this is an all-hands-on-deck type of effort here. What I've done is I've sprinkled across a couple of bets here. Team total over for the Leafs at 3.5. I do like at even money in this game. And I'm going to target the Leafs in the first period, not their puck line, but their team total specifically here in this game. We've been going about it that route lately with teams off, a bad performance, a beatable foe in their next game. And that's been pretty solid as far as looking in that direction. So the Leaf team totals, which you can get over 1 and over 1.5 in the first period with the Toronto Maple Leafs team totals at BetMGM, are good friends there because they offer those half-goal increments with the team totals for both full game and first period. I definitely like to take a shot with both of those in this game. You look all of a sudden at Philly, and the struggles they've had at the defensive end. We'll see if that carries over here to this game. I don't know about the full game over, because it could be one of these deals where Toronto ends up, getting the lead early. But I kind of like the first period over. I don't know about the full game, though. I could see this being like 2-0 Toronto first period quickly in this game, and then just shut her down. Shut her down with the road trip coming up to California after this game, and put this game away and do it by playing good team defense, which, believe it or not, I'm sure Berube is going to preach, and no doubt after what happened in Nashville when they're giving up odd man rushes, 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, happened a lot, uncharacteristically of the Leafs in that game against the Preds. So you would think if they get a lead, it's about tightening it up and shutting it down. So if I'm looking at an over, it would only be in the first period here. Alex, what do you think? Flyers, Leafs?
This is one of the games where it's the beauty of having the bet cast. I like the first period over. I will be betting that, laying $1.10 small, adding more on in game at plus price. But then, like you said, this might be a game where it slows down a bit. So I'll be looking for the full game under if we get hit this first period over. So that's what I have circled here. And of course, Toronto team total over 3.5 minus 106. Like I said, this could be a 4-1 game after a 1-1 first period. I can easily see that being the final here. So that's the way I'm betting that.
No doubt. There's a couple good props here for this game. That's the way I kind of see it here. Travis Konechny has scored in back-to-back. Tavares is on a roll. He scored in back-to-back, and he was one of the guys that was pretty vocal after the Nashville game. Wouldn't shock me if I see Tavares score here tonight for the Leafs. Jamie Drysdale, he scored in the last game, and he's been shooting the puck a lot more. Keep an eye on him. He does play power play. Bobby Brink, someone maybe to talk about as well. And I know he has been a disappointment so far since they got him at the trade deadline. He's been just underwhelming. It's not like he's been awful, but he hasn't been good. And it's Scott Laughton for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, of course, here he is now playing against his former team for the first time. It's just kind of a gut feel bet that maybe this is what he needs to get him going, facing the Flyers, facing his old mates, that maybe Scotty Laughton can find the back of the net, too. I think it's worth a shot at the price you're getting on his goal prop tonight. In this game, given the situation. And certainly a lot of the focus has been on, trying to get him going a little bit. And you can find Laughton upwards of plus 650 at FanDuel as far as finding the back of the net tonight in this game. So I think that's worth a shot given the situation here. And it'll be interesting to see if this is maybe what gets him going a little bit with Toronto, the opportunity to face off against his former team for the first time. He's playing with Domi and Robertson on the third line, and we'll see if he can make good on that for the Leafs. I would also consider Nyes and McMahon as goal props on the Toronto side, those two guys that play the left wing side on the top two lines. Nyes is usual with Matthews and Marner. McMahon as usual with Tavares and Nylander, so maybe a couple of looks there as well. All right, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 280, home favorite, 6 the total. Can't lay this price with Tampa. Coming off the road, back-to-back road losses to the Utah Hockey Club and to Vegas. I was very surprised how poor they were out of the gate Sunday night in Vegas after losing to Utah the day before that. So not exactly a team I'm comfortable with in this kind of price range, especially when you look at what the Pittsburgh Penguins are doing. They're playing with effort. They're playing with gusto. They're playing with a good amount of feistiness and compete right now. They're a solid, respectable 5-2 in their last 7 games. They've been scoring goals in the majority of these games, 3 or more for the Penguins as far as goals in 6 of those 7 games entering tonight. Battled Florida tough. It was an even game. In fact, they completely dominated Florida in the first period. After that, Florida kind of got their game going, and Pittsburgh and came back to win, obviously in a shootout, did the Panthers 4-3. But certainly Pittsburgh's been competitive. I was on the draw in that Pittsburgh-Florida game as well. Tampa off the 2 losses in a row on the road. We'll see if they can bounce back. They have won 3 of the last 4 meetings head-to-head versus the Penguins, but not quite playing at the level that I'm ready to get involved with a minus 280 favorite here in this game. Not betting Pittsburgh either, but I am going to sprinkle on another Penguins draw in this game. I think it's not a bad option here. Tampa's not going to give a you-know-what about Pittsburgh getting any points. For them, it's about let's make sure we get at least a point in the bank, maybe 2, if we can win this game. And like I said, I like what the effort has been from this Penguins team of late. Tristan Jarry's been part of that better effort. He's looked like a different guy, since coming up from his second stint. He got, sent down early in the season because of how bad things were going for him. But credit to Tristan Jarry. He's been very solid here. Now, he's given up 3 goals in 3 straight games. Not quite the 2 or the 1 that we were seeing out of him lately, but he hasn't given up more than 3 at any point, during this run that he's been on with the Penguins as a starter since being called back up. So we'll see if he can continue to at least, he's not going to shut the door completely, but at least give them a chance. I do think this is a draw that is worth a shot here Pittsburgh. There's other draws I like a little bit more, but I definitely think this one's still worth a shot here in this game. I think at this point, too, with Pittsburgh, they're on an over streak at this point in time. First period and full game overs both have been pretty good of late for the Penguins. So I will actually take an over by Fecta here, Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay as well. I have a feeling Alex may hold off and wait for a live look with this being a betcast night on this. But Alex, what do you think here? Penguins Lightning.
Yeah, this will be a game that I'll be observing mostly live, but I love the draw here with this price. Like I said, it's not the best spot, but when you look at, Pittsburgh, like I said, they're not going to quit. Crosby's been keeping these guys in line and motivated, and they're relishing the role, it seems, of possibly playing spoiler against these top tier teams, these playoff bound teams. So I can see this being some fire with them. But like I said, Tampa Bay, they've just been kind of hanging on, trying to earn points. They know how they're playing the kind of game that Pittsburgh was playing maybe 5 or 6 years ago around this time. Let's get our points, let's stay healthy, get ready for the run ahead. So this is kind of a draw season spot. I would say classic draw season spot, but this at the price of plus 400 at FanDuel, it is definitely worth a bet.
Oh, there is a classic draw season spot on this card, and it's coming up later.
Is.
And I think you guys may already know what it is, but definitely, I think when you look at this game, it's just because of what we're seeing from Pittsburgh, And if you don't trust Pittsburgh to win the game, Rich H, yeah, you can do that. You could go a little safer there with Penguins plus 1.5. Minus 110 on the puck line. There's no question.
That's
but
decent price too. Yeah.
Well, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Rickard Rakell, Brian Rust, Sidney Crosby. This line is spectacular. The rest of the team has holes galore. Their defense is still suspect. I know Jari's been a little bit better lately, but he's still been up and down. For the entirety of the season, we know their defense can be a mess. We know their depth scoring doesn't always show up, but that is as good a top line right now in the way they've played the last month as anybody. Crosby, Rust, and Rakell have been phenomenal. And we've got Rakell on a 2-game point streak. We got Rust on a 2-game point streak. Rakell has points in 8 of the last 10 games for the Penguins as well. Don't look now, Geno Malkin with points in back-to-back games for the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. So if you're looking at some of those point streakers right now for Pittsburgh, Malkin, Rust, and Rakell, all on multi-game point streaks. So prop-wise, they're probably worth at least a look here tonight in this. And same thing with the assist props. Rust, Crosby, both back-to-back games with an assist for both of them going into this game tonight as well. Something to keep an eye on for them. And here's one for Tampa Bay, too, because he's been chipping in he's become kind of like the 1B to Victor Hedman on the blue line. Darren Radish, has been quite honestly starting to, become more of an offensive producer from the back end here for this Tampa Bay Lightning team. We'll see if that is able to continue here tonight in this game. And then, of course, I always mention him for Tampa Bay and worth a shot, I think, too, is Nick Paul right now for this Lightning team, maybe to find the back of the net. He scored against Vegas. He's a streaky player. Maybe back home tonight he pots one once again here for Tampa Bay. One of my old favorites, old reliable, if you will, Nick Paul for the Tampa Bay Lightning. All right, next up, we continue along here on this Tuesday NHL slate. We've got Ottawa and Buffalo. Ottawa up to minus 160 now as road favorites. This opened much lower. This was closer to Ottawa minus 140 initially, but a lot of the money here has come in on the Ottawa Senators, pushing it up to minus 160. And the total here, 6 shaded to the over, pretty much across the board here in this game. I think Ottawa was a good price below minus 150 at this point in time, when it opened. Minus 160, a little bit pricey for my liking. Obviously, this is an Ottawa or pass spot. Don't trust Buffalo off a win ever, quite honestly. And the track record bears it out. They don't string wins together very often. They're obviously coming off a 5-3 win against Winnipeg, but let's not act like Buffalo played great. They got outchanced. They got outplayed. 36-17 were the shots. Comrie wasn't very good. James Reimer for Buffalo was very good. And that's why they ended up winning that game. They still didn't play great. So it's definitely sends or pass for me. This is why we have the betcast, though, tonight. Why bet Ottawa now, minus 160? Maybe, and Buffalo at home. That's another reason why I'm not betting them at this price, Ottawa. Buffalo at home has played hard lately. If you actually look at the Sabres on home ice, they have not rolled over against their opponents. They beat Vegas 4-3 in a shootout. They beat Edmonton 3-2 at home. They actually have 2 straight home wins, Buffalo, coming into this game tonight. So they've actually showed up against teams that are making the playoffs in each of their last 2 home games, beating the Golden Knights and beating the Oilers. So this team plays hard, and I could maybe see them getting an early goal and maybe even the lead, the first goal. And then you're going to get Ottawa at plus money. And then that's when I'm going to become interested in Ottawa, because we know Buffalo is not a team that we can trust night in and night out to protect a lead. That's been a big problem with them all year, that when they have played well and they have gotten off to good starts, they haven't been able to sustain it, for a full 60 minutes. So, yeah, definitely I'm going to look at Ottawa as a live betting target here tonight at any plus money that I see at any point during the betcast tonight. That's definitely what we'll be looking at here. This is an over by Fecta for me as well, with Ottawa and Buffalo in this game. If you actually look at Ottawa versus Buffalo historically, especially the games in Buffalo, very high scoring, 4-3, 5-3, 6-2, 5-1. Routinely, these games have been up and over the total. So I will go over by Fecta, and I will target Ottawa live tonight on the betcast, as long as there's any point in time we find them as an underdog. That's going to be the look tonight for me on the betcast here. Obviously, Dylan Cousins, man, it's the most obvious, captain obvious prop look on the board tonight. Clearly, this is going to be kind of an emotional night for him, kind of a weird night, as he was quoted as saying about making his return to Buffalo and facing his former team, the Sabres, now as a member of the Ottawa Senators. But how do you not look at Dylan Cousins props tonight? It's hard not to. So goal prop, assist prop. Could be one of those nights, too, to sprinkle on the multi-goal prop, or over 1.5 points as well, potentially, on Dylan Cousins as he makes his return to Buffalo for the first time since the trade. Alex, what do you think here? Ottawa, Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one. Like I said, this is a good 1.5 for the betcast. Like, you can target Ottawa at a plus price live. We can target Ottawa team total, which I'm seeing 3.5 right now at even money. So try and grab that maybe a little bit early in the contest. And I like the over trifecta. I'm going to grab both teams to score plus 150 pregame, and then I'm going to circle the full game and first period overs in game. So that's how we're going to target that. Maybe grab a little goal in the first 5 minutes at plus 158 over at FanDuel. I like to do that a little bit more, like I said, this time of year now. Have that option to insulate yourself if you can't grab the over 1.5. So this will be one of those games where we have a couple of bets pregame to cover ourselves if we don't have time or can't grab the right price that we're looking for in game. But we will definitely be looking for a lot of things live on the betcast tonight with this one.
One thing to keep an eye on in this game, too, is that Reimer might get a second consecutive start for the Sabres. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's crazy how we're all on top of it, that UPL is just getting way too many starts in a row. It's time to give him a rest and put Reimer in there. And Reimer has that dandy of a performance in his home province back in Manitoba against Winnipeg on Sunday. And now all of a sudden he might get 2 straight starts for the Buffalo Sabres. But signs that maybe it's Reimer again. It is Anton Forsberg, by the way, which is why I like the over by Fecta. With all due respect to Anton Forsberg, there's a drop-off from him, from Allmark, I should say, to him. So, like I said, I definitely think goals could be in the offing here. And then you look at, again, the series history in Buffalo, which has trended over the total as well between these two teams. But like I said, Dylan Cousins props, obviously, you got to look in that direction. I think he's going to be certainly chomping at the bit, try to have a big performance here tonight in this game. Sanderson's on a 2-game point streak. Dahlin for Buffalo. So 2 defensemen, 1 for each team, on a multi-game point streak for their respective teams. Yeah, Ryan McLeod, man, 7 of the last 10 he's gotten a point. 3 of the last 5 games he's gotten a point as well. He's also been chipping in as far as the goals are concerned for the Buffalo Sabres. It's been quite the season for him. 3 of the last 5 games with a goal. So whatever you can find on Ryan McLeod for the Sabres. That's been one of the great things about this. Hasn't been many bright lights and hasn't been many things to be positive about for the Buffalo Sabres. But I think the Ryan McLeod deal, people were ripping Buffalo for it. You gave up a good prospect in Matthew Savoy, who you took in the first round to get Ryan McLeod. They parted with a decent chunk to get Ryan McLeod, but Ryan McLeod has delivered the goods for the Buffalo Sabres. He's been solid, there's no doubt. He's had a great season, career best in goals and points for that matter. Yes, Fabian Zetterlund, there's value, 100% for him. I don't want to be not betting his prop the night he finally scores, playing with Timmy Stützle and Brady Tkachuk on that top line for Ottawa. So I think Zetterlund on that top line, that is a good price, and it's probably worth a look as well. Until even though he hasn't scored yet since being moved up there, probably only a matter of time if he keeps getting that opportunity. All right, Nashville and Carolina next up here. We've got the Carolina Hurricanes, as you would expect. Massive favorites here in this one, minus 280 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This is nothing pregame for me here, nothing at all. I think it's just one of those games where I don't want Nashville. I don't know, even at this price. Now, this is a price that if you're going to take Nashville, these are now the prices you could consider yourself maybe taking a shot with them. Certainly not the ludicrous minus 170 that they were when they hosted Anaheim last week, which I still stands out to me as such a ridiculous line that was. But Carolina's in a tricky spot here. They're coming off the California swing with the 3 straight games out there against San Jose, LA, and Anaheim. Of course, they got pounded in LA, but they did respond the right way with a 5-2 win against the Anaheim Ducks on Sunday night on the back-to-back following the debacle in LA. So it was a good response for the Hurricanes. But now they're back home, and only the one day between the end of that road trip in Anaheim and this game tonight. So it's a bit of a tricky spot here. And we are kind of getting Nashville close to that range where the system kicks in. I haven't bet it yet. I don't know if I have the guts to, but the Nashville first period score a goal, perhaps you could see that here in this game as well. Yeah, the flu bug is running through the Hurricanes dressing room. It's true, Bailey. I read that as well. So that's another thing to be fearful of. But boy, oh boy, Nashville just 1-5 their last 6. They have played well, though, in this building. If you actually look at their history here at what's now called the Lenovo Center, the name of where the Hurricanes play now, they have won 2 straight here in this building, believe it or not. 5-3 2 years ago, 6-5 last year in overtime. They won in December. So we'll see. 3 straight overs, but 2 of those were in Nashville. This is going to be live looks. I want to see how Carolina starts the game. Are they sluggish? Are they playing with that jet lag, dead legs coming off the road in the West Coast? Or are they playing with intensity, and are they, not taking this Nashville team for granted? This is watch and observe the game early in the first period game for me on the BetCast tonight before we move on it. That's the way I'm going about it. Alex, what do you think here? Nashville, Carolina.
Yeah, this is one that it's a pass for now, and like I said, something pops up on the betcast, we bet it. But with a big card, this is one that I don't see anything worth betting pregame. I want to see, like I said, what Carolina's formed like, with especially the flu bug going through the locker room. That's never a good sign. And Trashville, are they going to be Nashville or are they going to be Trashville? We gotta see which team's going to arrive on the ice. So, like I said, wait and see. And with a big card, we have the opportunity to wait.
No doubt. Goss Despair, 3-game point streak for the Canes. Philip Forsberg, 4-game point streak for Nashville entering tonight. Stankoven and Blankenberg on multi-game point streaks as well. And yes, Jonathan Davis in our group chat mentioned it. I have to mention it. My man from Dundas, Ontario, right here, my town, Mark Jankowski. I mean, he scored in 3 of the last 5 games, 5 of the last 10 games, and he scored in back-to-back games. And you can get Mark Jankowski in, a plus 650 type of range here to score a goal tonight. So I'm in. Count me in with Mark Jankowski. Plus 650 is the best price you can find with him at a lot of these different spots. Yeah, bunting against a former team. It worked out against Toronto. He scored for Nashville against the Leafs. This is another former team of Bunting. So maybe Michael Bunting for Nashville, revenge against his old team. He's good at that. He was good at that even last year, scoring against his old team. So, yeah, maybe Michael Bunting keeps the old team, run of scoring goals against former teams going here tonight for Nashville taking on Carolina. All right, next up as we roll along on this big Tuesday, BetCast Tuesday, we've got Vegas and Minnesota. Vegas up to minus 210. This line is on the move, and the money's coming in on Vegas. This was sub 200. Now it is north of minus 200. On Vegas as road favorites here on the back-to-back, and the total sitting at 5.5, pretty much across the board in this game. This is supposed to be system play, which means over by Fecta. But as you know, the system play is cooled off. That's number one. And number two here, you've got a Minnesota team that's still, very much kind of banged up right now. That's been a heavy under team, 8-1 in their last 9 games to the under for the Minnesota Wild. So I can't say that I am rushing to take the over by Fecta here, even though we're supposed to with Minnesota in the system play after losing 3-0 to Dallas last night. Meanwhile, Vegas, 3 straight wins for them on that homestand. They pounded Boston, beat Detroit pretty handily, and then a very impressive win against Tampa Bay, I thought, 4-2. Jumped on them early, got a 3-0 lead. They have dominated the Minnesota Wild to the tune of 8-2 in the last 10 meetings. They've won 4 straight, including 4 in a row here at XL Energy Center that the Golden Knights have beaten the Wild. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I knew Jonathan would have it for me. Let's see. There it is. Yeah. 9 of the last 22 in the system play have gone over in the first period. And this doesn't scream like an over game to me, especially with Minnesota involved right now. I know they're coming off the shutout loss, but does John Hines really think they're going to win by, opening up the offense right now? I'm not so sure about that, with their situation, obviously, and the goaltending and the offensive issues and the injuries for Minnesota right now. We're still without Kaprizov and Eriksson and Foligno and Brodin, although we'll have to see about Brodin and Foligno because there was some talk that maybe they'd return here tonight, even though they were out for last night against Dallas. We'll have to wait and see. Still no Eriksson and Kaprizov for sure. No question about that. Tomas Hertl, big absence here for the Vegas Golden Knights. He didn't even travel with the team. He got injured against Tampa Bay. He got hit into the boards by Emil Lilleberg in that game. And now he's going to miss the next 3 games for Vegas. That's an impact injury because he's suddenly red hot, Hertl, the last few games for the Golden Knights. So, like I said, tough injury for him. Tough time to be without him because he's been playing so well. Adin Hill confirmed in net for Vegas here tonight. We expect Marc-Andre Fleury here for Minnesota on the back-to-back. Hasn't been confirmed, but fully expected it'll be him, especially against his old team here. That's another thing to factor in. Does he still have that fucking axe to grind, Marc-Andre Fleury with the Vegas Golden Knights? He's a great guy, but doesn't mean he still doesn't, have some kind of contempt for the Vegas Golden Knights for the way it ended with him there, when he was a Golden Knight. So, like I said, I'm supposed to bet over by Fecta here because Minnesota's off a shutout, but I don't love it. I just don't. I think Fleury's going to want to play well. Minnesota's not scoring. Minnesota probably knows they have to win with defense right now, so probably not going to touch that over by Fecta, even though I'm supposed to. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Minnesota.
This is where I'm going to BetMGM, and I'm looking at the old parlays. I'm going with Golden Knights to win and under 6.5 goals plus 140. He said, I don't see where the scoring comes from on Minnesota's end. And like you said, with Fleury, in net against, could possibly be the last time he plays against Vegas. So, of course, we, see what happens maybe in the postseason. But, yeah, that may be a spot where, and we've seen the defense play well in front of Fleury, for the Wild, even though they've had their injuries. They still play some solid defense in front of Fleury where they kind of maybe break down a little bit more in front of Gus. So I'll go with Vegas to win, but I'm going to tie that in with the under 6.5 plus 140 the parlay preset at BetMGM.
There you go. I like it. And yes, the combo bets. We don't often, get involved with the combo bets as much as maybe some do, but certainly Vegas and under, where you could parlay the money line and the total and get the total up to 6.5 if you like the under, along with Vegas to win. And there you go. You get good plus money. And yes, Shea Theodore, game time decision is the latest for him. He has not obviously played since, he got injured in the Four Nations face-off. So he hasn't played since the Four Nations break for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll have to wait and see how he plays here, how he fares here, and if he's in the lineup tonight, I should say, and he's able to make his return, but certainly would be a boost. Was playing very well. It's obviously one of the best defensemen on this Golden Knights team, plays in all situations, very good at both ends. So, like I said, there is a potential for the return of Shea Theodore tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights, but again, game time decision is the latest as far as his status. And yes, Dorofeyev, yeah, we've talked about him. Jonathan's mentioned him in the chat already. Yeah, shots on goal. Yeah, 3 straight he's gone over his shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. But yes, goal prop, assist prop, anything like that for Dorofeyev. Hurdles out, but Nick Waugh has suddenly stepped up with goals in back-to-back games for the Vegas Golden Knights. So a little Nicholas Waugh, as far as value, plus 400, plus 450 in that range as far as a goal prop tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a streaky player too, but we know even though he's down on that bottom six for the Vegas Golden Knights in their lineup with Howden and Riley Smith, he's still a very capable player to chip in every now and then. And Nick Waugh's played well the last few games. So the plus 450 does stand out, as someone that's probably worth a look here tonight for a goal prop in this game. All right, we continue along here. We've got one of the games of the night. This is absolutely one of the games I'm most excited about because these games have been fire. These games have been phenomenal. You go back to last week and you look at every game that we have been privy to with two teams in playoff battles facing off against one another. Every single one has been a great game. Every one. Look at it. Look at last night. Canucks Devils, Islanders Jackets. How about Islanders Flames on Saturday? What a great game that was. You go on down. They've all been Canucks and Blues last week. What a great game that was. Look at the drama. They tied it in the last few seconds of that game, Vancouver. Phenomenal hockey because these teams are laying it on the line. It's now or never, to make the playoffs. And we're getting great hockey as a result. I can't wait for this one. Montreal, St. Louis. We've got the Blue, two of the hottest teams, honestly, right now as well. St. Louis minus 150, home favorites. The total 5.5 here in this one. And yes, this is your Captain Obvious slam dunk dead nuts draw spot, if there ever was one, between these two teams. St. Louis and Montreal, two teams. Look at these East versus West games lately, with two teams, one from each conference, facing each other with battling for the playoffs. Look at what we have seen. Canucks Devils last night was one. Draw hits. Jackets Islanders last night. You thought that was two East teams, but you get my point. Still two teams battling for the playoffs. Draw hits. Flames Islanders, East versus West Saturday. Draw hits. These are draw spots. These are stone cold draw spots at this time of year. No question about that. And then you start to look at Montreal, and those are strong enough indicators as it is for the draw. That it's Montreal, St. Louis, respective conferences. Neither team's upset if the other team gets a point. But then you look at Montreal, they've been a draw magnet all of a sudden. 5 of their last 9 have gone past regulation, including back-to-back games against the Avs and the Islanders. There is no question about it how their games have been tight and a lot of overtime lately. St. Louis, when they've played teams they're battling with in the playoffs, well, the last time they did, it was Vancouver. That game went to overtime and ended up being 4-3 in favor of the Blues in overtime in that game. So it's a slam dunk draw spot. I think it's a slam dunk over by Fecta spot too. 5 straight overs in the series. I was shocked that this total was 5.5. 7-4, 5-4, 6-3, 7-2, 5-2. Final scores of the last 5 head-to-head encounters between Montreal and St. Louis. St. Louis is on a streak of, and I knew they had been scoring goals in bunches lately, and we know during this great win streak of theirs, 6 straight wins, they've scored 4+ in every game. I didn't know how great this offensive surge for St. Louis was until I really went back and looked at the game log. The Blues have scored 3 or more goals in 12 of their last 14, that's Montreal, has scored 3 or more goals in 12 of their last 14 games. The St. Louis Blues have scored 4 more goals in 3 or more goals, I should say, in 16 of their last 17 games. So if you think about this total being 5.5, the St. Louis Blues have scored 3 or more in 16 of 17. Montreal has scored 3 or more in 12 of 14 entering tonight. That's 3-3 right there. If both of these teams stay true to form and with the offensive capabilities that they have shown. You got the Blues in 16 of the last 17 with 3+. Montreal in 12 of their last 14 with 3+. Over by Fecta. Didn't even have to think twice about it. Along with the draw. I'm not betting against either side here. I love me some Montreal right now. I love the fight. I love the guts. I ain't betting against them, especially as a dog. No chance. But I'm also not going up against this red-hot, surging St. Louis Blues team right now. Not a chance I fade them either. So this is a clear stay away from the money line side. Draw and over by Fecta for me here in this one. And this is the same 3 bets we hit last night with Canucks Devils. Not Canucks Devils, but Jackets Islanders. Hit those same 3 bets with Jackets Islanders last night. And because we didn't have the first period looks with the Canucks Devils. We just had the full game over. But same looks as that game, no doubt. What do you think here in this one, Alex? Montreal, St. Louis.
So here's what I'm betting pregame. I'm on the draw. I grab plus 340 at FanDuel. That's the best price I'm seeing available. So please shop around for that. Also have 3-3 correct score plus 1,300 small and 4-4 correct score plus 2,600 small, which of course means I will be betting the over as well, but I'm waiting for that in game. Try and grab plus money with both of those prices, over 5.5 and over 1.5. We're already seeing minus $1.20, $1.25 for each. So we wait a couple minutes in the betcast. Into the game, I should say, while we're on the betcast, and we'll just hop on and grab the over by Fecta.
There you go. Good stuff. And a good prop game, too, because, again, both of these teams you would think, battling for the playoffs, let's tighten things up. Montreal, 5-1 to the over their last 6 games. St. Louis, is they're actually only 5-5 to the over, but it's because a lot of games they've shut the opponent down. But here's why I think, you got to be careful with that. 5-5 in their last 10 games to the over for the Blues, but Nashville 1 goal. Nashville stinks. Chicago 1 goal. Chicago's not very good. Nashville again. Anaheim. They've faced a lot of. Minnesota can't score goals. In bunches right now, and they held them to 1 goal. Montreal's got some potency. Well, Montreal is going to be a bigger challenge for the Blues on defense than they've seen lately. They've seen a lot of Nashvilles, a lot of Chicago's lately. This is going to be a much taller order here. So I think Montreal gets on the board. They find the back of the net here. Even though Binnington's been great, I think they find the back of the net. And certainly with St. Louis, the way they're rolling offensively, they find the back of the net at home as well. Again, 4+ for them in 6 straight games. And by the way, the 4 nations face-off teammates with Canada will square off here. Sam Montembeault and Jordan Binnington will get the starts for their respective teams here in this game. And like I said, for props, it's funny. Josh Waugh for the Montreal Canadiens. Been waiting on this guy, waiting on him to finally maybe get going a little bit with the opportunity he's been given by Marty St. Louis, playing with Alex Newhook and Patrick Laine. And suddenly here comes Joshua Waugh finally starting to make good on the opportunity on that second line for the Montreal Canadiens, as he has scored a goal in back-to-back games, and you can get a crazy good price on him right now. Crazy good. Upwards of plus 700 for Joshua Waugh as far as finding the back of the net here tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. Again, this is a guy that was called up from Laval. He's got a little bit of an offensive touch to him, and these are the kind of situations we just love at this time of year. Under the radar, goals now in back-to-back games against the Islanders and the Avs, not being priced like it. Josh Waugh for the Habs, great price as well, plus 700. Like I said, the best price you can find with him on that. The Toropchenko look from Jonathan in the chat. Yeah, why not? And you know what's funny about Toropchenko? He's actually been percolating a bit offensively lately for the St. Louis Blues. And you can get him in that same range that I mentioned just now with Joshua Waugh. You could get Toropchenko in that plus 650, plus 700 range to find the back of the net here for the St. Louis Blues. Of course, you can always take a look at the other suspects. Bull Duke, we've talked about. Won't You Be My Neighbor? Jake Neighbors and Holloway. Dylan Holloway, we've talked about them ad nauseum. They're still always a threat every night to score. But like I said, the Toropchenko, especially the success he's had in the past with scoring against this particular team, worth a look there. And Tessier, too. Tessier is someone that I know he scored the other day. They got him from Columbus. There's offensive potential there, so he's plus 500. It's a good game to dabble as far as multiple players that have some good value, with their goal props there in that St. Louis and Montreal game. All right, next up, it's the battle for the President's Trophy, because it's going to be one of these two teams that are going to end up as the President's Trophy winners. What a game this is. And I know both teams are kind of like coasting right now at times. Washington's going to easily win their division. Winnipeg should easily still, even with some bobbles and wobbles lately, should still be able to win their division. But I think for this game, you get both of these teams, kind of stepping things up right now. We got Winnipeg minus 150 home favorites here in this game, and the total 5.5 across the board in this one. This is definitely more of a betcast game for me. I respect these. I'm certainly leaning Washington and might sprinkle on Washington a bit pregame. Winnipeg is. Do we get the Winnipeg Jets bringing their A game? You got to think so tonight. Like, they're off the loss to Buffalo. They've been playing like they've been in a malaise here these last 3 games. With the Vancouver loss 6-2, they barely beat Edmonton 4-3 in overtime without McDavid and Draisaitl. They escaped past Seattle in overtime, and they were down 2-0 in the first period of that game. They just haven't been playing 60 minutes, let's be honest, for 4 straight games. They're 2-2, and the 2 games they won, they were lucky as shit to survive in overtime in those 2 games. And Washington's, look, there's no let up in this Capitals team. It's just unbelievable. Like, where is the long losing streak? Where is it? It just hasn't happened. This guy is amazing, this Carberry, and that he has gotten this team to a point where they haven't had 1 4, 5, 6 game losing streak. Not a 1, or a 1-8 slide. Not a 1 this year for this Washington team. Just a joy to watch. Of course, the Ovechkin watch continues. 7 goals away from breaking the record as well for Ovi, the grade 8. This was a great game between these two teams when they played earlier this year in Washington. The Jets got the better of it, 5-4 in overtime, and it was one of the weaker games from Logan Thompson, who allowed 5 goals in that game to the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, he's in net tonight. Hellebuck back in for the Jets, as you would expect in this showdown of teams contending for the President's Trophy. Under, I kind of feel it could be an under game too. I kind of feel that way. I know it was 5-4 in Washington, but I just feel it could be one of those games here, especially with Winnipeg giving up 6th spot. I know Buffalo, and I know it was Comrie, but that's not going to make Scott Arniel and the coaching staff happy. That's not the way that's not Winnipeg hockey. Winnipeg hockey is playing good defensively and starting with that as their foundation, for winning games, if you will. And by the way, don't underestimate the offensive impact that the injury to Gabe Vilardi is on this team. Upper body injury, he's week to week, and now they're just hoping Gabe Vilardi is going to be back for the playoffs at this point. And obviously, it's someone they will miss. It's 27 goals, 34 assists, 61 points in 71 games for the Winnipeg Jets out of your lineup here if you're with Gabe Vilardi. So that's a big loss. You don't want to lose sight of that. What that means, though, of course, is a little shuffling. And Alex Iafallo getting that spot on the top line vacated by the absence of Gabe Vilardi. Iafallo will take that spot, it looks like, with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. So right away, there's great value on Iafallo tonight. No question about it. It's a great value bet, win or lose, whether he scores or not. You almost have to bet it when he's getting that top line right wing spot with Connor and Scheifele in the absence of Vilardi, and you can get Iafallo at plus 450 to score a goal for the Jets. That's you got to bet it. I mean, he's on the top line. He's filling the Vilardi role with Scheifele and Connor, 2 of the best forwards on the team. You got to bet it plus 450 and let the chips fall where they may. It's great value for Alex Iafallo here tonight, no question. 5 straight first period overs for Winnipeg with Hellebuck in net. Something to keep in mind. Yeah, I'd prefer more first period over than full game if I were to bet it. But maybe wait for the betcast to see what the pace is like. This is a game I could see 6-5 or 5-4 again, like in Washington, or I could see 2-1, 3-1, and it's real cagey. I think it can go either way this game. And you remember, these are 2 of the better goaltenders in the NHL this year going head-to-head. And I think they were both in that 5-4 game back in Washington, and they know, hey, maybe we didn't bring our best that night when we last played this particular opponent. Let's bring it tonight. So it wouldn't shock me if it's a low-scoring game. But we'll see what the pace is like. There's a perfect game for the betcast. Let's see what the pace is like, see how this game starts and flows in the first period and go from there. Alex, one of the games of the night, President's Trophy contenders, best team standings-wise, points-wise in their respective conferences, Washington, Winnipeg.
Yeah, it should be a fun one, and I expect a close game. Like you said, it may not be tight. This could be up and down, but I do expect a close game. So I did take a snap with the draw plus 330. Do have first period over circled and targeted for in-game wagering. Also looking at Ovechkin, anytime goal plus 130, last goal plus 950 tonight. Like I said, we always get better value with Ovi last goal whenever the Caps are underdogs. Usually 7-1 when they're a favorite, but now tonight plus 950 with that last goal look. So Ovi goals and the draw pregame, and we'll be looking for that first period over in game.
There you go. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Eileen Washington. No, I mean, first of all, Washington is an underdog. No chance I'm fading them as a dog, especially when they lost the game at home to Winnipeg earlier this year. But I want to see how it starts. This is probably more of an in-game bet. I'm thinking too. Here's another reason why I'm kind of holding off on betting Washington. I think Winnipeg's going to show up and bring it tonight, and I think this is a game that will excite them and motivate them. And after losing to Buffalo at home Sunday, I could see Winnipeg flying early in the game at Canada Life Center, scoring first, and then we're going to get an even better price on Washington if that's the case. We know Washington's the cardiac kids this year. They're never out of a game. So I get a sense Winnipeg could take the lead early, and we'll get a better price with Washington later in the game. So that's
Isn't that a bet
thinking
that you can make where the team comes from behind to win? Maybe look at that with Washington tonight.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? Plus 130, this team still getting prices like that for as good as they've been. And they've been the team that's in better form the last, 4, 5, 6 games than Winnipeg as well. And still getting this kind of, I know the Jets are good at home, but boy, oh boy. I mean, it's just crazy that the value you've been able to get with the Washington Capitals from a betting standpoint on the money line start to finish this year. That probably also explains why, as far as, let me just see if I can get the up to the minute profitability statistics in the NHL this year. That's also why they're the number one team as far as profitability is concerned this year in the NHL. Actually, these are the top 2 teams as profitability is concerned. Over 11 units of profit if you bet Winnipeg every game, 18 and change units of profit for Washington. Number 1 in the NHL if you bet on them every game this year. So, like I said, that's pretty impressive stuff. Washington, Winnipeg, Montreal, Anaheim, Columbus are your top 5 teams in the NHL as far as profitability in that order. Washington, Winnipeg, Montreal, Anaheim. Anaheim's the surprise team of that group. You would not think Anaheim with, 30 and 40, and they're number 4 in the league in profitability, but it's because of the big dog prices they've cashed throughout the course of the year. And even when they're at home, they're a dog in most of their games. That's why there's always ability to make money with certain teams, even the bad ones. And you see Anaheim top 5 in the NHL on that list. That tells you that pretty much backs it up. No question. Yeah, PLD, yeah, you know me. I mean, former Winnipeg Jet. This is always a team that he's going to be up for and get up to play against. So yeah, any PLD props for Washington, I get it. Mangiapane with goals in back-to-back games for the Washington Capitals. You're getting a good price here too. Plus 550 for Andrew Mangiapane of the Capitals, who suddenly scored in back-to-back games as well. Ovechkin, Protas on 4-game point streaks. Ehlers, Scheifele, Perfetti on 2-game point streaks for the Winnipeg Jets. And Jonathan mentioned something about Perfetti's done well scoring against Logan Thompson. So a good prop game. Now, I don't know how many goals there are going to be in this game, but like I said, there's some good value in the prop market here in this game for sure. Some good opportunities. All right, next up, Detroit back in action, back-to-back on the road in altitude. Not going to get any easier here, taking on the Colorado Avalanche. We've got Colorado minus 280 to minus 310 in some spots as home favorites. And the total here sitting right now at 6, shaded to the over here in this game. I think when you look at this matchup here, this is a tough spot, right, for the Detroit Red Wings, no question. Now, they did play finally a really good defensive game, and let's give them some credit. The defense has been terrible, horseshit for the majority of the recent games. But after a brutal penalty kill to start that game, I don't know what they were doing there. Everyone on one side of the ice below the goal line. That's defending 101. I'm just an idiot talking behind a mic, and I know that. That's not the way you defend on a penalty kill. And that was horrible. But the rest of the way, that penalty kill was great. They made adjustment. They shut it down. And Utah had their chances. And, they really couldn't get things rolling at all. And you got to give Detroit credit. Detroit was finally willing to say, you know what? We're going to block some shots. We're going to get in the shooting lane. We're going to help out Alex Lyon in our goaltending. And I think that was the difference. And Todd McClellan kind of called them out for it after the Vegas loss on Saturday. Said, we got to have guys that are more committed to, doing what it needs to take defensively to win games. And they did it for one night, but can they do it again for a second night? It's one thing to do it for one night when your coach rips you and criticizes you. Can you do it again for another night now? Tough spot, back-to-back, altitude against Colorado. It isn't the greatest spot for the Avs either. They are coming off an East Coast swing, obviously, which ended in Montreal with that thrilling 5-4 shootout win against Montreal. They went 2-1 on that trip. They lost to Toronto, but they won the next two against Ottawa and Montreal. But they do return home, where they've been just on fire lately at Ball Arena. 5 straight home wins going into this game. Now, some of the competition wasn't good. San Jose, Pittsburgh, Chicago, but they did beat Toronto 7-4 in this arena. A 4-3 overtime win against Dallas in their last home game. So they played very well at home here in this game. This kind of feels like more of a betcast game for me. Team total over is just a little too pricey for me at -150 right now. I think we might be able to get that a little bit cheaper in game rather than bet it pregame at this point in time. Could this game be I still don't trust Detroit to back it up defensively for a second straight game, but let me see it before I'm ready to bet it. I can tell you that the over is 6-4 in the last 10 head-to-head meetings. The games in Colorado, though, 4-3, 6-3, 7-3, 6-3, 7-2. This has been a weird kind of series history. The games in Detroit have been more unders than overs, but every game in Denver between the Red Wings and Avs has gone over the total. So it's definitely a over by Fecta lean, but I'm going to take my chances. I can get better prices on these during the betcast tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Red Wings, Avs.
Yeah, it's another good live game. The only thing I like pregame is betting. I'm laying $1.25 with it too. Colorado first goal of the first period. I think they can jump out kind of hot, and that's kind of leaning toward maybe you can grab that +115 too with the puck line, first period puck line. I'm seeing at Caesars. So those will be two bets I'll have pregame, but everything else I'll just kind of look for in game. This could get ugly. You got Talbot starting now for Detroit because Mrazek, you played him last night and then he gets hurt. Instead of saving Mrazek actually had really, really good numbers against Colorado. And so now, Jonathan, putting that
Great
on
stat.
the screen. Yeah, that's a fantastic stat. So yeah, this is going to be a game where it looks like it's going to be one-sided. We'll just have to try and pick and choose our spots in game with Colorado. Try and get next to score. Second period overs, gift in the second period, things of that nature. So that's what I'll be targeting.
Yeah, I've got the Avs, the Avs team total over 3.5 in my crosshairs. But with the betcast, why bet it now? Let's see if we can maybe get them off the board for 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll get even money or even plus money on an over 3.5. That's what I'm waiting on with Colorado as far as their team total is concerned in this one. They're stuck because Mrazek's injured again. He's definitely not going to play tonight. They went to Lyon last night early in that game. Are they going to want to put him in there second straight game in altitude on the road back-to-back? Or because the other option is you do that, which actually still may be the better option, or you go to Cam Talbot, who's been, to say he's been struggling is putting it nicely right now with what we've seen from Cam Talbot. 5 goals allowed to Vegas, 5 goals allowed to Washington. He's given up 4 goals or more, this guy, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 7 starts. I mean, it's just not going to win you a ton of hockey games. And if it's him, it's going to definitely turn up the anticipation of the over by Fecta and the live Avs team total over if it's Talbot. Lyon was good last night. I'd almost, if I'm in Todd McClellan's shoes, I'd almost put Lyon back in there. Take a chance. He actually played all right last night, I thought, in that game. He did. He played solid. He just Talbot's struggling at the moment again. And that's what you're looking at. So, like I said, that'll definitely fuel the desire, if you will, to get involved with the team total on the Avs more if it's a Talbot sighting here tonight. As far as props go for this Detroit and Colorado game, Sam Malinsky is someone that Perlo, our good friend, will be back on with us tomorrow, talked about, he bet a goal prop with him in the last game for Colorado. 14-1 is what we're looking at as far as the price on that. So if you believe in the Sam Malinsky magic repeating itself for the Avs, you're getting, 14-1 plus 1,400 for him to score a goal going into this game. Big Val Nichushkin, can't talk anyone out of props for him. 5 straight games with a point, 7 of the last 10. 5-game point streak. Jonathan Drouin and Arturi Lehkonen are on 2-game point streaks. Kane and DeBrincat, they go as Kane and DeBrincat goes offensively. Detroit, and Kane and DeBrincat have points in back-to-back games. Brock Nelson and Marty Necas, 2 of the new Avs arriving in trades this year. They're on multi-game point streaks, starting to heat up for this Colorado team. So definitely a lot of prop options here for this matchup tonight. All right, we continue along here. We got 2 more games on this Tuesday slate, rather. Seattle and Calgary. We got the Calgary Flames right now, minus 140. Home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I already saw confirmation earlier that it's our guy, Hungry Like the Wolf, Dustin Wolf, getting the start in net for the Calgary Flames in this game. So here's the thing about this game with Seattle and Calgary. This seems like got to hammer Calgary, do you not? I mean, they're playing well. They had a good end to that road trip. What a great show of guts and character that was, beating the Rangers after getting thumped in Toronto on a back-to-back. They dominated the Rangers. It was only 2-1 because of Shesterkin. They come back from a 3-1 deficit, beat New Jersey 5-3. They come back from a late deficit against the Islanders and beat them 4-3 in overtime. What an ending to that road trip. 3 straight wins. They should come home and annihilate this Seattle team, which is reeling, right now. And their only wins were Philly and Chicago and Utah, in this last stretch, Seattle. And they had 1 win against Montreal in overtime when Montreal pissed it away. But it feels like a bit of a dubious spot. You're off the road, 3 big-time wins. You come back home and you lay a dud. That's the fear that's just lingering in the back of my mind that maybe that happens tonight for the Calgary Flames in this game. Seattle's also played Calgary well, and they're not in good form. They couldn't beat a Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl-less Edmonton Oilers team the other night, losing to the Oilers. That's not a good sign. They're not playing well. They're way out of it, but they have played Calgary well. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings. They've won 3 straight at the Dome, if you can believe it. Seattle has beaten Calgary 3 straight times here at the Saddle Dome. And I remember last year, or not last year, last month, February the 8th, Calgary needed the win. Seattle was struggling then. And guess what? It was Seattle going into Calgary, beating Calgary 3-2 in overtime in that game. So this has me leery, very much so. And that's why I'm glad we have the betcast tonight. Because if I see Calgary at plus money at any point during this game, I'm taking it. But I am not laying minus 140 pregame with the Calgary Flames. Maybe Seattle jumps them early. That's always possible. And if we get plus price on Calgary live during the betcast, I will then be in on the Flames, but not at this price pregame with how dubious I feel in the pit of my stomach this spot could be for the and in fact, Seattle's played well against them in recent meetings, no doubt. Yeah, nothing on the total, Jonathan. You're right. We know we've all liked that Seattle off a loss to the over. They've been terrific in that spot. But Flames, their divisional games just stay under, and it was an under the last time they played each other, 3-2 in Calgary. I might sprinkle on the draw pregame, quite honestly, because I don't think there's going to be an easy game for Calgary. It's just 101 off 3 thrilling, gut check, emotional, and they had to exert a lot of energy to beat the Rangers on a back-to-back and come back in the third to beat New Jersey and then rally in the third and in overtime to beat the Islanders on the East Coast and coming back home. I sense this is going to be a grind of a game for Calgary to get the 2 points. So I think the draw could get there. Alex, what do you think here? Seattle, Calgary.
If this was a better opponent, and with this price, I would be hammering Seattle, hammering a dog, I should say, against the Flames. This would be a complete fade spot, even with the Flames needing the points here. But coming off of that road trip, which was a tough grind, it was a successful road trip, but like I said, it wasn't easy at all. When playing against Seattle, I can't take them plus 120. I can only look with the draw here. So I grabbed plus 320. I grabbed it small. This will definitely be a good game late for the betcast to try and pick off some spots too. Like I said, next goal. This is another game where I have next goal, this next team to score circled.
No doubt. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a way to go, no doubt, is the draw. And look, it went to overtime at the Saddle Dome last month with Seattle beating Calgary 3-2 in overtime here at the Saddle Dome back on February 8th. And that game stayed under as well. So like I said, definitely could see maybe this game following suit, and kind of being an under type of game as well, a little bit lower scoring. We'll see how it plays out. As far as goal props for this particular game for Calgary, I mean, it's the Matt Coronado show. You got to ride it right now. He's on a 3-game point streak. Kadri's on a 3-game point streak. Huberdeau's on a 2-game point streak. Coronado's on a 3-game goal streak. Not bargain bin anymore. They've dropped it. The price not as good anymore on Coronado, but you got to ride the wave with the consecutive games scoring a goal. He's still plus 240. Still a pretty good price for someone that scored in 3 straight games, no doubt. We'll see if this one, if they can keep it going here. Kadri's on a 3-game goal scoring streak as well. Got the overtime winner to end the road trip against the New York Islanders. Huberdeau with goals in back-to-back games as well. Burakovsky, Kakko, Schwartz scored in the last game against Edmonton. So maybe they start to feel the wave a little bit offensively. And let me just look here as far as recent form is concerned. Brandon Montour was even scoring a little bit for them of late. We'll see if maybe he chips in a little bit. He's been shooting the puck a lot, Brandon Montour, of late. So maybe something to keep an eye on there. All right, the late night action. One late standalone game for us on the Betcast tonight. This one should be interesting because the New York Rangers are a fascinating. We need someone to do like a documentary of this Rangers season. I'd be the first to sign up to watch it. I really would. I mean, that's how much of a crazy off-the-wall season it's been for them. But they wrap up the night taking on the Los Angeles Kings. We've got LA minus 170, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Rangers, they're a hard team to trust against any sort of good team. The pattern for the New York Rangers has been, against the really good teams, those are the games that they do not win. They did beat Vancouver. Vancouver is not in a playoff spot, though, right now. And let's be honest, they only won that game because Shesterkin just robbed Vancouver. 39-12 were the shots in favor of the Canucks, but it was the Rangers getting a 5-3 win. But speaking of my point about not beating good teams, you lose to Ottawa, you lose to Washington, you lose to Columbus, you lose to Winnipeg, you lose to Edmonton, you lose to Toronto. Do I have to go on? I mean, that's every good team that the New York Rangers have played, and they have not been able to beat them heading into this one. LA is rolling, one of the best home records in the NHL, 8-1 in the last 9, 3 straight wins. They pounded Boston and Carolina, 14-4 combined score in those 2 victories over the weekend against the Hurricanes and the Bruins. We'll see if they can keep it rolling. Kings have beaten the Rangers 2 straight times as well, including 2-1 last year here at Crypto.com Arena, 5-1 earlier this year for the Kings over the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. This is definitely a game that's a betcast game for me. Pre-game, I'm not really going to get involved. I mean, Rangers are not a team I'm looking to really trust against a good team. Darcy Kemper is going to be the goalie in net here tonight for the LA Kings. Once again, he's been just phenomenal, especially on home ice, where he's been at his absolute best. Now, they do have Igor Shesterkin as the projected goalie for the Rangers, but is there a hint to Peter Laviolette going to the old man, Jonathan Quick, here back in LA tonight to get the start? I would not be totally shocked by that. But
I would think that would be the way
you need the wins, you need the points, and look what Shesterkin just did for you against Vancouver. He stole it. Without Shesterkin, you don't win that game. So maybe you're compelled. We need points now to hang in this playoff race. We got to go with our best guy, Shesterkin. So interesting decision and dilemma Peter Laviolette has as far as who he starts in net tonight for the Rangers. But Alex, what do you think here, Rangers Kings?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, this might be one of the spots you'd maybe look to give Quick. I'm sure he'd be fired up. More than likely, this would be his last time playing in LA. So this is one where I think if you go either way, it wouldn't be a bad look for the Rangers. Now, however, I just don't think the Rangers are going to win this game. I lean toward Kings in regulation at minus $1.05, minus $1.10. But because we have the betcast, this is one we can wait on and get a feel for. But it wouldn't shock me one bit if we saw Quick get the nod over Shesterkin and goal for Rangers tonight.
There are 3 Kings goal props I like tonight. We've got Fogue Daddy, Warren Fogle, and we've got Kuzmenko, 2 guys that are on multi-game goal streaks for the Kings. Quentin Byfield is back on a multi-game goal streak again after being held off the score sheet the one game. And Andrei Kuzmenko, who's starting to find his footing and a level of comfort and chemistry with this Kings team. Back-to-back games with a goal for Andrei Kuzmenko, playing alongside Kopitar and Kempe right now for the LA Kings on that top line. So, yeah, I like Kuzmenko, Fogue Daddy, Warren Fogle, and Byfield as far as goal props for the Kings. For the New York Rangers, Lafreniere is with Trocheck and Panarin. Probably a little bit of a value opportunity there. Will Cooley, is always someone I'm interested in, and those are the main 2 right there. Will Cooley and Lafreniere since he's on the top line. Yeah, Brodzinski did score against Vancouver, Jonathan. He did. He got a key goal for them. Canucks fell asleep on him in the slot, didn't defend him, and he scored not just 1 but 2 goals actually in that game. And he was in the Kings organization when he started his career back in from 2016 to 2018. So yeah, I don't mind that plus 650 for Johnny Brodzinski, perhaps to find the back of the net. And of course, that'll be our last game of the night on the betcast. And a great segue as we wrap up the card, talking about the card for tonight, and remind you about the betcast for tonight. Can't wait. Excited to get back into the betcast swing of things. It's been a few weeks. Again, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for the live betcast, exclusive to Patreon members. And again, $10 per month. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. All the bonus content, access to the live chat rooms that we have now set up for our Patreon members, live wager chat room, just a general hockey discussion chat room. There's a chat room to post your screenshots of the bets you've made. So make sure you check all that out. The interaction's been great among our Patreon members. They've gotten the conversation going in the chat room on the Patreon page. So that's great stuff. And of course, with the Patreon membership, you get all the access to our Patreon exclusive live betcasts, and we've got a ton of them even after tonight coming up in April and beyond. So make sure you get on board tonight so you're there for the betcast and able to join us. $10 per month. And again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. So make sure you get on board. Just $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, make sure to check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You have until midnight Eastern tonight for free standard shipping. It's been 6 days, so you've had plenty of time. And you got till midnight tonight for the Eastern time zone to save on free standard shipping. Click on the redeem button at the home page, add your items to your cart. Free standard shipping will be available to you at checkout. We got all the new items that are in the store right now, so definitely check all of that out and save with the free standard shipping right now. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Make sure you check it out. Exactly. Get that free standard shipping over at the Ice Guys store. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. This is a great night for this segment. There's a ton that made my short list for bargain bin special candidates. Too many to I'll definitely have two. I don't like going more than two, but I will have two for you for tonight for bargain bin special. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special. What do you like?
Yeah, let's go to that Habs Blues game. That's going to be a fun one for sure. We said we love both of those teams, and obviously like a little bit more than 60 minutes in that contest. But I think one of the goals, and I think the first goal of the game, will come from Mr. Jordan Kyrou. Now I got to give shout out to Lando in the chat. He threw this one out, but the last two times St. Louis has played against the Habs at home, first goal has come from one of the Jordan Kyrou. You can get him at 11-1 to score the first goal of the game. So that's where we'll go with Jordan Kyrou and the St. Louis Blues. First goal of the game, plus 1,100. That is my Tuesday betcast bargain bin special.
There you go. Jordan Kyrou for the St. Louis Blues. Bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith. For bargain bin special of the night for me, if I didn't go with this guy, I wouldn't be, kicked out of my home and banished from Dundas forever, like a certain Jonathan Davis intimated I might. But I'm still going to use him anyway for bargain bin special. Mark Jankowski, one of two for the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's been scoring. He's plus 650 here in this game. Oh, and by the way, former team angle as well. That's right. Former team angle as well from Mark Jankowski, the fellow Dundas native. Plus 650. Mark Jankowski. Carolina Hurricanes for one of my two bargain bin specials. And my other bargain bin special, I'm going to turn to Mr. Nicholas Waugh for the Vegas Golden Knights. Plus 440. Great price for a guy that scored in back-to-back games as well. And I could go on more with a bunch that I like, but we will stop there with those two. Mark Jankowski, Carolina, plus 650. Nicholas Waugh, Vegas, plus 440. For my two bargain bin specials for this Tuesday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got?
Heading back to the Gateway City, we're going with Montreal and St. Louis draw, plus 340. It's a classic draw season spot, and this is definitely a good price and a good spot at the back. So we're going with that Habs Blues draw. That's my best bet for this Tuesday night.
There you go. Habs Blues draw. It's a good one. I agree with it for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet, it's also from Montreal, St. Louis, but it's the total. Over 5.5, minus 120. Too cheap as far as I'm concerned when you look at these two teams. Montreal, 12 of the last 14, at least 3 goals. St. Louis, 16 of the last 17 with at least 3 goals. They're both in good form. And I expect this game to hit 6. And look, a lot of these playoff contender teams battling each other have been sneaky overs. They've not been the tight, low-scoring unders that people may think. Canucks Devils last night. Jackets Islanders last night both went over the total. Canucks and Blues last week went over the total. There's been more goals in these games than you'd think. I think we see more goals tonight. Montreal, St. Louis over 5.5, minus 120. For my best bet here for this Tuesday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Betcast tonight. We cannot wait. We're looking forward to it. 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sign up at the Patreon page, patreon.com/IceGuys, $10 per month, and we will see you tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Patreon exclusive Ice Guys live betcast. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night, and we will see you in 3.5 hours. That's it. And we're back on again, 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Patreon exclusive live betcast. And we are back with the Daily Show tomorrow on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on the Ice Guys.